Hey everybody, Mr. Cleveland here. Thanks for watching. We've got a fun lesson today. We've got monsters, and over here on this side, the blue monster is the most simple. So if you're in kindergarten, maybe you want to follow along with that one. And it goes up from there, first and second grade. But if you're confident, you can go all the way, watch the whole video, and follow along. It's up to you. All right, stick with me. Hope you have fun. So before we get started, I just wanted to give you a sneak peek at what some of these drawings are going to look like at the end. Some of the things I'm not going to cover are just, how to fill it in with color. I think that's pretty easy. And these spots here, you can always add those. You can add a different color for the belly. And that's pretty much it. So you can come back here when you're done if you want to see examples of how to color certain parts of the monster that you copied from me. All right, thanks. Hey everybody. All right, so we're going to get started with drawing some monsters. We're going to start with a very simple one and then move on to a little bit more complicated and a little bit more complicated. So it's up to you what you want to follow along with. You can go ahead and stick with the simplest one, or you can go even further into the harder to draw ones. The harder to draw ones have different shapes. So let's start out with something very simple. We're actually going to start out with practice. So one of the things I want you to practice is this pear shape like this. It's mostly a circle on this side, and then it has a little U shape on this side. Let's try that again. We've got a little U shape here, and then another shape that comes out like this. It's okay if it's a little bit wonky. That doesn't matter too much. It can even face up like this, or side to side like this. Okay, another thing that I want you to practice is drawing sets of lines like this, but also bending them. So if one line bends like this, see if you can get the other line to go alongside it in the same direction. All right, so that should be enough to get started on our first drawing. We're going to start out with a simple monster that's sort of an egg shape, and I want to draw it in a dotted line. You don't have to do a dotted line, but one of the nice things about using a dotted line is that we can come back later and make this look furry because we can do a zigzag line across the dotted line. So this is just an egg shape, and we're going to put two circles right here for the eyes. And then we're going to put a big, we might call this like a banana shape or a bean shape right here for the mouth. Okay, good. So let's get started on some of the details. I think what I'd like to do first is to make it look furry. I'm going to go around the edges and especially give it some wacky hair at the top here. One of the great things about drawing a monster is that you pretty much can't go wrong. Any crazy thing that you want to do, put into this drawing, you can do that. So don't worry too much if it doesn't look exactly like mine. You can make your drawing look your own. All right, so there's the fur. Next, I'm going to add some horns right here. So this is just like that shape we practiced in the beginning, except the lines connect at the top to make the horn. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. You could also add ears here. You could do round ears, you could do triangle ears, anything you want. You could do small horns and ears right next to each other. It's up to you how you do that. All right, I'm going to go around the mouth again just to add some lips. If you're having a hard time following your drawing from before, that is this shape, you don't have to do this part. But this just adds a little bit of extra thickness to his lips. And then I'm going to make these little U shapes for his teeth. Okay, next We'll put little circles inside these circles to start filling out his eyes. This part will be colored black, but we'll leave one little circle light to show that it reflects. Okay, now it's time for the arms and the legs. So for the feet, we're going to use that pear shape that we practiced earlier. I want you to just draw a pear shape like this, sideways. And that's going to be one of the feet. Next, you can draw one that's upright if you want the monster to look like it's walking. And there you go. Now we just connect this with some legs. All right, and then we're gonna add a couple of upside down U shapes, or I guess you could call them the letter N, for something that looks like toenails. You can even make this part furry right here if you want to. All right. Next, we're gonna do arms. So you could do these arms any which way. I'll do one arm going down, just to show you what that looks like. And we'll just put a very simple hand right here. We can draw another arm going up. Starts by going down and then bends at the elbow and goes up. And we make another simple hand like that. Now I just noticed he has 4 fingers here and only 3 there, so I'm going to add a little thumb on the side. Alright, so that's the simplest version of this whole drawing. Let's move on to something just a tiny bit more complicated. So for this one we're going to need a bean type shape, kind of like we used for the mouth, but it's going to be a little bit different. It's curved on the top and then it has 2 curves on the bottom. Okay, this is what we're going to use for the head. So let me start over because I put that too close to the top. I was just showing you for practice. All right, so the head is going to have a curve on the top and then 2 curves on the bottom. Now inside this shape, I'm going to draw 2 big circles for the eyes. And let's add some little curved lines that come up from here just to show that this is going to be like a pair of jaws or lips, and they're a little bit wrinkly. So we can mess the line up a little bit by just adding some curves onto it. Next, we're going to add a couple of teeth here and there. And we'll give this monster a belly that curves down from the top of the mouth and then connects back up to that leftover part of the shape that you drew at the beginning. All right, so one of the fun things I'd like to do for this monster is to erase just a part of this side here and we're going to give him arms that are sort of drooping down and dragging on the ground. But before we do that, let's add some feet. We can use the same feet that we did before, just a big pear shape. That one got flattened out a little bit, but that's okay. Another pear shape. All right, and then I think I'd like to give him a little circle on his belly. And let's add those arms that we talked about. So for this, we're just going to draw one line that goes straight down and then turns and curves up a little bit, goes back around, and then we're going to follow the line back up to the body. And that's the arm. We can just add a couple fingers back here and a thumb, and it looks like his arm is dragging on the ground. For the one that's behind his belly, we don't have to do so much. because it's also going to be behind his foot. You could add a little curved line back there if you'd like to. Okay, so I think this one needs some extra details. We could give him some ears, maybe round ears or triangular ears. I think I'll go with round ears. Why not? And let's also give him a little bit of fur. Okay, and next we're going to want to shade in these eyes. Now if you can color these, that'll look great. I'm trying to give you as many options as I can, and I know you know how to color. So what I would do is just color this in with black marker. You could do it with pencil, but it'll look a little bit better with marker if you can. All right, next we'll add just a little shape inside the ears to get that to stand out. And I think this one is probably done. So let's move on to another slightly more complicated monster. Again, you don't have to follow along this far. If you are satisfied with the drawing that you've come up with, you can go ahead and stick with that. You can also change it up. You could do whatever you'd like in terms of, you could give them 1 eye, 2 eyes, 10 eyes. We're about to do a monster with a couple more hands and feet than normal, so you are free to completely change this however you'd like. I'm trying to just provide you with a couple of ideas to get started with. Okay, let's draw the bottom of his jaw first. So that's going to be a straight line across, and then we're going to do curved lines in like this. So the first two monsters that we did were sort of short and round. This one's going to be a little bit longer and curvier, like a lizard or something. Let's give him a swirl at the end of his tail. All right. So that shape is a little bit hard, but what you want to try to remember is that for the most part, if it's wide up here, it needs to be thinner, thinner, thinner as it goes back towards the tail. If we had, let me just step aside for a second and do a mistake to show you. If we had this line as the bottom of the monster and this line as the top, if we went in and got really thin and then got wide again and then thin again, it would look kind of strange. What we want to try to do is, if we draw one line, stay far away from it at the beginning and get closer and closer and closer, very slowly closer and closer and closer until we get to the point. Okay. Back to this main drawing. So we're going to draw some eyes that are sort of like snail eyes up suspended on some, I don't even know what you call those things that snails have. Those big noodles that pop out of their head where the eyes are on the ends. We're going to draw some of those. So we've got something like a sideways number 8 here. These are going to be the eyes, and then we're just going to draw this on the back. So we've got a line that goes out, another line that goes out, and then we'll connect it back down to the head. And then we will just finish off the head. I'd like to make the top of the head a little bit smaller than the bottom of the head, just to give him a funny jaw. This is the kind of thing that, you know, you don't have to do. It's up to you. All right, now there's two kinds of eyes we could give him. I'd like to draw one pair here and the other pair on the monster. So one type of eye is sort of silly eyes. So if you draw one pupil over here and one on the bottom of the eye, it'll make him look really wonky and goofy. If you draw instead, you draw two curved lines that touch each other at the ends right inside this eye, it'll give him a look like he's a sneaky monster. So then inside this little moon shape, we put this. Now what I'm drawing there is a line. So we've got the moon shape. And I do two lines like that, and then a circle in the middle. And I fill it in with dark. So that's what I'm putting in right here in the middle of the eye. All right, so he needs his feet. Let's give him two main feet right here. Just a simple pear shape like we've been using. All right, and then we'll give another back foot over here, and we can make this one a little bit smaller. And then there's one that's going to be sort of back here, kind of hidden behind the main foot. And if he has 4 feet, we might as well give him 4 arms. So let's erase this side of his body real quick. We're going to draw some of it back, but some of it's going to be blocked by the arms. So to draw these arms, let's just do a sort of zigzag line where we go out, then back in, and then we'll start down here, go out and back in, and then we're going to add a curved line onto the bottom of this and a curved line onto the bottom of that, and then another curved line on top, curved line on top. And now we're going to do another set of lines that's the same direction as the first. That's just going to finish off his arm, make it look like he's putting his hands on his hips. All right, now we're going to have his hands on his hips on the other side too, but first let's fill in the parts of his body that can come back because they didn't get blocked by the arm. Okay. We're going to put a little triangle right here, and then another line that goes the same direction and curves around right there. Okay, so we've got 4 of his arms in. Let's give him one more up here. It's going to be 2 lines like this coming out from his body. And then we can just put another hand on the end of that, like he's waving. All right, so it's up to you what you want to do with these, what colors you'd like to use, but you're free to do whatever you'd like, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. I hope you guys have fun with this lesson. Thank you so much. Bye.